Hello everyone, Debbie here. Welcome back to Barossa Valley Crafts. Today we're going to make a really quick, easy card. Now you will need a heat gun and embossing powder. If you don't have that, you can just do it by stamping. So two ways to do it depending on what equipment you have got. So this is the card we're going to be doing. Very easy. And let me show you how I have done this one. So to start off with, I've got just a piece of white card. Now this one is 5 3/4 of an inch or 14.5 centimetres. Now the width isn't really that critical. Look at that, I've got glitter on there because I was just playing with glitter. It's all right, I'll turn it over. So yeah, the width needs to be 5 3/4 of an inch for this particular size. If you want to vary your size, that's totally up to you. But the other way, it really doesn't matter much. And there it is. The glitter is on my ruler. That's why I'm getting it everywhere. Okay. Anyway. So that's just a piece of white card there. Then the base card I have done is 12 inches. Again, you don't have to do it this size. You can do it any size you like. So 12 inches or 30.5 centimetres. By 4 inches or 10 centimetres. And then I've got my matte layer, which is 5 3/4 of an inch or 14.5 centimetres by 3 3/4 of an inch or 9.5 centimetres. And then my top layer, I'm going to turn that over so it doesn't shine, is 5.5 inches or 14 centimetres by 3.5 inches or 9 centimetres. And then I've just made up a little sentiment. So I won't give you the measurements for this because it would depend on what size sentiment you're using as to the sizes that you would have your mats and layers. So to start off with, I'm going to use my stamp press, but if you don't have a stamp press, you can stamp them freehand. And I'll just make sure I have got it the right way. 5 3/4, yes. So I'm just going to pop that in here. And hopefully that glitter won't matter too much. Now the stamp I'm using for this card is from the Close to My Heart, and it's called Christmas Borders Holiday. So if you need the code, it is D1746. I bought this one from eBay, so you'll just have to do a search for it. And then we're just going to lay the stamp. I'll just pull it out from the edge a little bit. So we're just going to lay the stamp from one side of the card to the other, in about the middle. Doesn't matter if it's not perfect. And then my stamp's a bit sticky, so then we're going to just pick that up. I'm just going to move my magnets in a bit. Just make sure that's still all right. Yep. Now I'm going to use Versamark, which is a clear sticky ink, which is used when you're doing heat embossing. Now when they talk of heat embossing, there's heat embossing, which is what we're going to do. There's dry embossing, where you use an embossing folder and put it through a machine. And there's also wet embossing, where you might have a stencil and you put a liquid or like a fairly thick fluid over your stencil and then peel your stencil off and leave it until it dries. And that's called wet embossing. So it can be really frustrating when just someone says embossing when there's so many different sorts of embossing. Now, because we can't see the Versamark, I'm making sure I have really well inked it. And then we're going to stamp it onto the card. Well, just make sure you allow time for the ink to soak into the card. Don't just push it, press and lift. Give it time to soak in. Okay. So again, I don't know, you probably can't even see that. Oh, my silly light's doing that flickering again. Okay, so now I'm just going to move that out of the way. I'm going to bring in a piece of paper. Now with this one, I'm going to emboss it with silver embossing powder, whereas the other one I did it in gold. So I just thought we'd do something a little bit different this time. I'll just get that to stick on there. That looks pretty good. So I've got a little bit extra up there. I'm just going to rub that away. You can, if you want to, use your embossing buddy and wipe over it first, which is like a little powdered pouch that sometimes helps with stopping the embossing powder sticking to where you don't want it. Okay, now I'm just going to get my heat gun. Sorry about the noise. When you're heat embossing, don't do this because you're not giving the embossing powder time to heat. So we'll turn it on and heat it up a bit. And then don't burn your fingers, it gets very hot. Hold it on your card until you see it melting. There we go. And then as it melts, move it along. By doing this, you're not giving it time to heat. So we'll just, as it melts, we move it along. And you know it's melted when it goes all nice and shiny. There we go. I'll just cool that down. Now I'm going to bring my bit of paper back in again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to use a green ink. So I'm using VersaFine Clear, but you can use any ink that is okay for blending with. And I'm just going to put some ink on my brush, and we're just going to brush it over the embossed area. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect or even. It can be any way you like, any colours you like. And if you wanted to, I mean, I'm doing a crisp one, obviously, but you can do it for any occasion. It's up to you. And we'll just give it a good coverage. Doesn't matter. You don't want to you don't need to cover your whole card because we're going to tear it. Okay, that's that. Then with a tissue, just gently give it a rub so it comes off the embossing powder. Now, if you were doing this just as a stamp, if you're not going to heat emboss it, do your blending of the ink first. Then when that's dry, do your stamping. So there we go, it's that. Let's see if I can get my light to work again without it flickering. See how long that lasts. No, it's still doing it. Gosh, I hope that's bright enough. Okay, so what we're going to do next is tear the card. So I'm going to just use my finger as a guide. I'm going to place it just below the last bit of embossing, and I'm just going to slowly tear it up. Now I'm tearing it this way because I want the jagged rough edge on the other side. You'll see in a minute what I mean. So I want this. I want to be able to, it's a bit hard to see there. Maybe I'll get this out of the way. So I want this rough looking edge. And then we'll do the same to the other side. So just get it going and tear it along. Like so. I might just tear some of this off. That's probably a bit too much there. Just do it until it's to your liking. There we go, that'll do. So now I'm going to use a red ink, and I'm just going to rub that over that white torn area. Just like so, just a little bit. I don't want to overpower it. And to the other side. There we go. Okay, so, like if you look at that stamp set, one of them is Christmas presents. I mean, it doesn't have to be Christmas. You could do that and use it as birthday, so you could make a birthday card the same way. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in my mats and layers. Now I'm going to attach my matte layer onto my base card. So I'll just put that onto there. I'm just gluing this because it's a bit quicker than the tape. And this is a personal preference, whether you glue or tape. Just pop that on. Now, I know I'm repeating myself, but as I said, you don't have to make your card this size. You can make it whatever size you like. Now I'm going to attach this one. Now, because I'm using foil card, I am going to use double-sided tape on this. So with foil card, sometimes when you use glue on it, when it dries, you can actually see on the front of the card wherever the glue is, it sort of the shape of it can come through. That's why I'm using double-sided tape. And it, again, attaching anything to mirror card, use double-sided tape. Because it's non-porous, it can quite easily pop off when it dries because it's not able to soak in. So I'll just line that up. And I'll just pull the rest of it away. So while I'm doing this, I'll just let you know that I do have a Facebook group called Cardmaking for Beginners and Beyond. I will pop the link in the description, and if you'd like to join, you're more than welcome. Just answer the question to join. We do that to prevent any scams and robots and things from trying to join. So I'm just going to trim this up a little bit because I don't want it to be bigger than that. So I'm going to trim that to 5.5 inches. Okay. Make sure it's the right size now. Yep. And now I'll just pop this on here. So if you want to, as I said, just come and join the group. Come and share your creations. We are not limited to branded items. Any branded product is fine. Okay. And we're going to attach that to here. Try and get it in about the centre. That looks pretty good. And then I've got my little sentiment here. Just work out where, I think I might pop it up in this top corner. So I'll just pop another bit of tape on there. If you're enjoying my tutorials, please do give me the thumbs up and do subscribe. And you can be notified then as new tutorials are done. I aim to do them every Friday when time permits. And occasionally I'll do an extra one every now and then as well. And that's it. How's that? A card done in 15 minutes. So there it is in the silver. And there I've done it in gold. And then I've got some stickles here, which is like a glitter glue. I'm just going to put that on some of these little spots here, on the little snowflakes. So I'll just randomly pop some of those on. Or might do a bit more than random. There you go. Now, the cardstock I'm using, some of it is from, in Australia, a place called Papetisserie, and some of it is from Image Plus Scrapbook Superstore in Tassie. So I will add the links in the description in case you need to buy any cardstock. And there we go. Oh, do another one there. That's it. So very quick and easy. And two ways you can do the heat embossing or just plain stamping on it. Whatever you prefer, or use whatever you've got in your stash. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you have, please do give me the thumbs up. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye.